A scholar walked into the palace of Qi. He spoke to a king who had just been killing people. He said, "Deep down, you have what it takes to be a good ruler." The king froze. "How do you know?" The scholar said, "I saw a man about to slaughter an ox." The ox was trembling. The man had pity in his eyes. "I worked from that." "You just killed a person, not an ox." "But I saw pity on your face too." That one push pulled a feudal lord back from "I am king" to "I am human." In the chaos of the warring states, not many dared speak that way. His name was Mencius. His given name was Ku. He came from the state of Zhou. Good evening. This is Bedside Book Voice. Tonight we're reading Mencius. If you're already lying down, dim the lamp a little more. Set the phone a bit farther away. Pull the blanket up. Let me say the plain thing first. Tonight you don't need to memorize innate goodness. You don't need to chew through all 7 books at once. Just follow my voice. Listen to a man who lived more than 100 years after Confucius. He'll explain the bit of goodness in the human heart, and the bit of steel in the human spine, one sentence at a time. When you're done, you'll carry away a few lines that can keep you company for a long while. Fall asleep halfway through? Don't worry. Mencius won't blame you. I won't either. Chinese readers meet a few of his lines early in life. Wealth cannot corrupt, born in hardship, choosing righteousness over life, yet many never know they came from the same man. Tonight we'll slowly put that man back together. That man who dared say you have the foundation in a killing king's palace, why was he later honored as the second sage? The answer hides in a book that always looks like argument. We'll get there slowly. You'll find he doesn't feel like a stiff old pedant at all. More like an elder who speaks straight and has a soft heart. The book Mencius is a lot like the Analects. It's a record of conversations. Mencius, given name Ku, came from Zhou in the Warring States period, roughly a century after Confucius. Confucius taught how to be human. Mencius carried on from there. What are people born with? How should a state treat its people? How should your backbone grow when you're poor, when you're rich, when someone tries to scare you? Later generations called him the second sage. That doesn't mean he ranks below Confucius. It means he was the most important heir to Confucius's thought. Reading Mencius isn't like reading statutes. It's more like overhearing one man debate with kings, with students, with people who opposed him. Sometimes one sentence chokes a whole room. Sometimes he softens suddenly and talks about parents, children, cattle, and sheep. You'll hear him angry. You'll hear him joke. You'll hear him frown for ordinary people. The book has 7 parts: King Hui of Liang, Gong Sun Shou, Duke Wan of Tang, Wan Zhang, and more. Each part is a different scene. Underneath runs one thread. Can the bit of goodness in the heart be awakened? Can the scale of the state tilt toward the people? Mencius lost his father when he was 3. His mother raised him alone. Later ages told several stories about that mother. Not every detail may stand up to scrutiny. But the care in them reads clearly. The most famous is Mother Mencius's 3 moves. At first they lived near a graveyard. Little Mencius copied funeral rites and mourning cries. His mother frowned and moved. They moved near a market. The boy learned merchants' shouts and haggling. His mother frowned again and moved. At last they settled near a school. Mencius began learning ritual and poetry. Only then did she rest easy. Another story is cutting the loom. Mencius skipped school and came home. His mother was weaving. Without a word she cut the half-finished cloth in 2. She said, if you abandon your studies, it is like me cutting this cloth, all earlier work wasted. Mencius was terrified and studied hard from then on. These stories came from later hands. The details may not all be true. But think about it. A widow who did not rely on beating. She let her child see what giving up halfway looks like. That way of teaching runs in one line with what Mencius later called awakening, not crushing. When he was young, Mencius studied under Zisi, a descendant of Confucius. He kept thinking through humaneness, righteousness, ritual, and wisdom from the Analects. He wanted to understand something. Why do people do wrong? Are they born bad, or do they learn bad? That question burned hot in the warring states. One thinker named Gaozi said human nature is like rushing water. Open a channel east and it flows east. Open west and it flows west. No fixed good or evil. Mencius disagreed. He said, human goodness is like water tending downward. Among people there is none who is not good. Among water there is none that does not flow down. The goodness in human nature moves in that direction, the way water moves down. Gaozi said again, what we are born with is nature. Mencius answered, then is a willow cup or bowl the willow's nature? It needs shaping and guidance. That does not mean there was no foundation to begin with. These debates read like quarreling. Really, they guard one thing. People can still be saved. Education still matters. You cannot blame every evil on that's just human nature. If you heard our episode on the Analects, you may remember something. Confucius traveled through the states for 14 years, often without success. Mencius was much the same. He traveled through Qi, Liang, Song, Tang, and other states. He met rulers. He spoke of humane government and putting people first. He hoped kings would fight less, squeeze less, and leave ordinary people a way to live. But that age wanted strength now and victory now. Who had patience for a man slowly explaining where popular hearts lean? Mencius did not wander as long as Confucius. He hit walls just as often. When he hit a wall, what did he do? He kept speaking and spoke more directly. In Qi he stayed for a while, then left. A student asked, you seem unhappy? Mencius said, if heaven still wants the world put in order, who but me would take this on? It sounds arrogant. Think again. It is a scholar who knows the king does not want to hear him, and still says the whole truth. In Song, someone planned to attack Xue. Mencius opposed it. A student asked, you once said attack was acceptable. Why not now? Mencius said, the situation changed. That is not fence-sitting. It is asking whether ordinary people will suffer. In Tang, Xuan asked how to handle mourning rites. Mencius did not put on airs. He went step by step through mourning, through honoring kin. Big matters and small, he would speak. In his eyes, the kingly way was not empty talk. It began with funeral rites, with taxes, with how to divide a well. Now the opening circle can close. Why could Mencius say you have the foundation in a palace where King Xuan of Qi had been killing people? Because he used push, not scolding. The king asked, may I hear about Du Quan of Qi and Du Quan of Jin, how they rose to power? Mencius said, among Confucius's students, none spoke of hegemony. They spoke of the kingly way. If you ask, we speak of the kingly way, the way that lets people live in peace and turn their hearts toward you. The king said, you say I can walk the kingly way. How do you know? Mencius told the story of leading an ox. The king saw an ox being led to the bell for sacrifice. The ox trembled. He ordered them to replace it with a sheep. That was not stinginess. It was pity. Push pity from the ox to the sheep, then from the sheep to the people, and the kingly way opens. A ruler who admits pity in his own heart can still be reached. Mencius spent his life doing this push. Take the small bit of goodness in a ruler's heart and push it outward into policy, into how he treated the people. That kind of push, you can use it today too. With family, start from pity. Leave out one cutting sentence, that is one push. With colleagues, start from deference. Give away one bit of credit, that is one push. You don't have to push all the way to the whole world in one night. Mencius never asked that. He asked you not to shut that small goodness in your belly until it rots. So where does the goodness Mencius pushes come from? This is the most important block in the whole book, innate goodness. Innate goodness does not mean a person never does wrong. Mencius said we are born with seeds in the heart called the 4 sprouts. Which 4? The sprout of compassion. The sprout of shame. The sprout of deference. The sprout of right and wrong. Compassion is the ache when you see someone suffer. Shame is the flush when you do something disgraceful. Deference is knowing when to step back and let another have the good. Right and wrong is the inner scale that knows what fits and what does not. Mencius said, the heart of compassion is the sprout of humaneness. The heart of shame is the sprout of righteousness. The heart of deference is the sprout of ritual. The heart of right and wrong is the sprout of wisdom. The 4 sprouts are where humaneness, righteousness, ritual, and wisdom begin, like limbs on a body. They were there from the start. He ran a famous thought experiment. Suppose someone suddenly sees a child about to fall into a well. What happens? Your chest tightens. You want to reach out and pull the child back. That tightening is not because you know the child's parents. Not for looking good before neighbors. Not because you fear being called cold. It is simply that the heart tightens on its own. That tightening is the sprout of compassion. Mencius said whoever lacks compassion, shame, deference, and right and wrong is not human. That is a heavy line. It means, grind away every bit of the heart that can ache, and you stop looking like a person. Lying here tonight, think back on today. Was there a moment your heart softened a little, and you pretended not to see? That moment is the seed Mencius meant. It is still there. The theory of innate goodness is often mistaken. People hear people are born good, so you need not teach them. That is not what Mencius meant. He said, given human reality, we can become good, that is what goodness means. The seed is there. Weeds grow too. Without watering and weeding, the seed cannot grow tall. So Mencius stressed preserve and nourish, preserve the heart, nourish the nature. The method is not daydreaming. It is concrete action. Practice righteousness. Gather righteousness. Do not treat righteousness as something outside yourself, something you perform only to trade for gain. Do what ought to be done, and the heart can stand upright. Mencius had another phrase especially good for night thoughts: seek the lost heart. Seek does not mean chase outward. It means find what ran away and bring it back. Lost heart does not mean relax and go to sleep. It means the heart ran off, and you call it home. He said, when people suddenly see a child about to fall into a well, all have a startled heart of compassion. You see a child at the well's edge and your chest tightens, the heart is still there. But in daytime meetings, on the phone, scrolling, the heart often is not on your own body. It runs after other people's moods. It runs after anxiety. Mencius said, the way of learning has no other secret: seek the lost heart, that is all. Lying down tonight, even if today you accomplished nothing, feel once in the blanket, the heart came back. It is here. Not lost. That is already very Mencius. Among the four sprouts, the sprout of right and wrong is often overlooked. Yet Mencius said, the heart of right and wrong is the sprout of wisdom. That inner scale is not only for great matters of righteousness. It works in small things too. Is this sentence true or false? Is this fair or not? Am I lying to myself? When he met King Xuan, the king said, I have a fault. I love goods and wealth. Mencius did not scold. He said, if your majesty loves goods, share them with the people. What harm in ruling? The king said, I have another fault. I love beauty. Mencius said, if your majesty loves beauty, share that fairly with the people. Do not seize from them. What harm in ruling? See, he did not set the king's ideal impossibly high. He said, admit what you want, but do not reserve it only for yourself while denying others. The scale must weigh the king too. Next comes the hardest and most remembered line Mencius spoke about righteousness. Fish and bear's paw, you cannot have both. Choose the fish, you lose the paw. Life is what I desire. Righteousness is what I desire. If I cannot have both, I choose righteousness over life. Fish tastes good. Bear's paw tastes good. You cannot eat both. Pick the more precious. Life is precious. Righteousness is precious. If you cannot keep both, choose righteousness. It sounds like a moral textbook. Mencius was not shouting slogans. He was answering, at the limit, what does the inner scale weigh? Life matters. Some things weigh more than simply staying alive first. Not everyone faces life and death every day. But every day you face smaller versions. A lie would get you through, do you tell it? A shortcut would save trouble, do you take it? Mencius said righteousness is not chains bolted on from outside. It grows from the shame sprout inside you. Do the thing, and you cannot pass yourself first. In the warring states, Song kept an old story tied to righteousness. A man blocked the road to rob travelers. He asked, where do you come from, and what do you carry? The traveler said, I come from the heart, and I carry righteousness. The bandit laughed. Can righteousness feed you? Later the tale was written into books. Hard to verify. But thinkers in Mencius's line loved such stories because they meant, righteousness is not decoration hung on the mouth. It is what you carry when you walk out the door. You may be poor. You may suffer. Lose righteousness, and the person is not whole. Tonight you need not play tragedy. If today you did not lie to save trouble, did not wound someone to save face, then at night you carry a little more lightness of righteousness on the body. One story often linked with Mencius is Mother Mencius and the pig. Little Mencius played at the butcher's and came home telling his mother he wanted meat. She was weaving. She asked, where would meat come from? He said the butcher promised pork. She put down her knife at once. I have heard children must not lie. If he promises you casually today, you will promise others casually tomorrow, and the person stops being real. So she really went and bought meat. The story resembles Xingzi killing the pig in the Analects. Later tradition, not surely historical. Still it shows, in Mencius's line, trust and righteousness are practiced at the nearest place. Not recited for an audience. Righteousness also ties to chi, vital energy. Mencius said, I am good at nourishing my flood-like chi. Flood-like chi is not anger. Not the breath you hold to shout someone down. It is a strength you cultivate, a mind without debt, feet that do not feel hollow. He asked a student, do you understand flood-like chi? The student said no. Mencius said, this chi is utmost in greatness and strength. Nourish it with uprightness and do it no harm, and it fills heaven and earth. What is uprightness? The righteousness we spoke of. Do what ought to be done, and the heart does not bend. He also said, do not let righteousness be moved by hot temper. Do not let temper move you into false righteousness. Flood-like qi is gathered slowly through daily righteousness. It is not thumped out on a wine table. You work overtime late and feel you can carry anything on the walk home that may not be flood-like qi. That may just be exhaustion hardened into pride. Flood-like qi is when daytime held one thing you did not slack on. One burden you did not dump on someone else. And at night, lying down, there is no lump grinding in the chest. That looseness is what Mencius called utmost in greatness and strength. The student Gong Sun Shou once asked, where did you learn to be so unmoved in heart? Mencius said, at 40 I was unmoved in heart. Not that after 40 he had no feelings. The inner scale was not so easily tipped by the outside world. Gong Sun Shou asked again, nourishing qi or nourishing the heart, which matters more? Mencius said, do not violently disturb the qi. Do not let the heart run wild. Qi ties to righteousness. The heart ties to the four sprouts. A scholar who only memorizes lines yet panics when trouble comes, Mencius would say you treated righteousness as ornament. You did not gather it day by day, so the qi is hollow. Think back. Which days felt especially solid underfoot? Often the days you did not take advantage, did not lie, did not dump your work on others. That is uprightness quietly nourishing qi. There is another line people quote like a battle cry, having examined myself and found my ground narrow but right, though 10,000 stand against me, I go forward. In plain words, once you have thought it through and the scale is on your side, do not change your mouth because the crowd is large. Not a command to pick fights. 10 people at the company say let's leave it, and you know it is wrong. Pulling back is not cowardice. It is saving strength. After thinking, say the one sentence that needs saying, gently. That is I go forward. Mencius met kings alone against a room of power holders, and still spoke the same way. Not because his voice was loud. Because the breath inside was nourished enough. Here are lines many Chinese memorize young without always thinking them through. Wealth cannot corrupt. Poverty cannot move. Power cannot bend. This is what makes a great man. In here does not mean lust. It means to bewitch, to drag you off course. Wealth arrives, it does not drag your inner scale crooked. Poverty presses down, it does not sell out your conduct. Power and intimidation face you, you do not bend down. These 3 lines define the great man for Mencius. Not big frame. Not loud voice. In all 3 situations, you are still you. Wealth cannot corrupt bonus, promotion, sudden kindness from someone above, and the scale in your heart stays level. Poverty cannot move the days tighten, people look down on you, and you do not sell every principle just to survive. Power cannot bend, a boss roars, authority presses, and you do not instantly kneel and beg. Keep the reason you should keep. Keep the line you should keep. This is not telling you to crash into the world head-on. Mencius himself visited kings. He cared how words were said. Softness can be soft in tone. Hardness should be hard on the inner scale. If tonight you remember one thing from daytime you knew was wrong but swallowed because the other person outranked you, don't punish yourself into sleeplessness. Think once. If it comes again tomorrow, try taking the scale out and weighing that his power cannot bend growing taller. Jing Chun once asked Mencius, are Gong Sun Yen and Zhang Yi great men? One anger and the feudal lord's fear. They settle down and the world goes quiet. Mencius said, no. That is the husband of a concubine. That is the way of a serving wife. Making people afraid through threats and scheming is not a great man. The real great man is the three cannot. Think about arguments online today. One clash and someone doxes, threatens, performs dominance. Mencius would say, that is the way of a serving wife, not a great man. A great man is not the loudest voice. It is the scale still there in all three situations. Another time a student asked whether Chen Zhongzi counted as pure. Chen Zhongzi would not eat grain his brother gave him. Mencius said, in human relations nothing is closer than brothers. He won't eat his brother's grain, is that purity? Mencius is not telling you to eat what you should not eat. He is saying, purity pushed so far it loses humanity is not righteousness. Righteousness keeps the shame sprout alive. It is not a show for spectators. If tonight you feel you were too soft in daytime, don't rush to learn hardness. If you feel you were too hard, ask once, is the scale guarding righteousness, or performing? On politics Mencius had an even sharper line, often quoted out of context, people are first. The altars of soil and grain come second. The ruler is lightest. The people weigh most. The state comes next. The ruler weighs least. In the warring states that was almost spoken against kings. Mencius was not calling for rebellion. He was asking rulers to see clearly. Without the people, the state is empty. Without the state, the ruler is nothing. Gain the hearts of the people and you may become son of heaven. Gain the son of heaven and you may become a feudal lord. Win popular hearts, then you can hold the world. This breathes in one breath with Confucius's cultivate the self to bring peace to the people. Only Mencius said it more plainly and more straight. He met King Hui of Liang. The king said, you came 1,000 li without scorning my state. Do you have some profit for my country? Mencius said, why must your majesty speak of profit? There are only humaneness and righteousness. If the king speaks profit, great officers speak profit, knights speak profit, everyone chases profit from top to bottom, the state is in danger. That still works today. In a company or a home, if everyone only calculates their own share of gain, the surface may look busy while cracks spread underneath. He also drew the line between the hegemonic way and the kingly way. The hegemonic way makes people afraid through force. The kingly way makes people willingly follow through virtue. Pretend humaneness while relying on force, that is hegemony, and hegemony needs a large state. Practice humaneness through virtue, that is kingship, and kingship does not depend on size. King Xuan asked, can it be fast? Mencius said, I have heard of Tang, who had only 70 li and still became king. Fast or slow is not about territory. It is about whether the heart turns toward the people. King Hui asked a very practical question too, how does the world become settled? Mencius said, it becomes settled through unity. The king asked, who can unify? Mencius said, those who are good at killing can unify. The king said, I am good at killing. Why don't the people come to me? Mencius said, Your Majesty loves war. I hope Your Majesty will stop fighting. Killing can frighten people for a while. It cannot turn their hearts toward you. What people want is lighter taxes, lighter labor, less war, go home and eat, plant the fields. Mencius spoke of the well-field system and regulating people's livelihood. It sounds like economics class. Really it is one sentence, give ordinary people stable property, and they can keep a stable heart. Without stable property, a stable heart cannot hold. If tonight you have work, shelter, a meal, your mind finds it easier to stand firm. Hanging in the air every day, who has strength left for humaneness and righteousness? Mencius did not ignore profit. He put profit where ordinary people can live steady lives. At the time Yang Zhu and Mozi were loud. Yang Zhu taught serve yourself. Mozi taught universal love for all. Mencius criticized Yang Zhu as denying the ruler. He criticized Mozi as denying the father. Harsh words. They meant, care only for yourself and ignore those above and below, the heart tilts. Care only for all under heaven and ignore kin at home, the heart tilts too. His middle path still began with filial piety and brotherly respect, then pushed outward. Not ignore the world. Stand firm with the nearest people first, then speak of larger things. Same breath as honor your own elders and extend that honor to others' elders. We're about halfway through tonight. In this small pause for breath, one gentle request. If this voice has kept you company, tap like and subscribe. Think of it as leaving a lamp burning for me in the dark. You don't need to sit up. One finger is enough. Good. Let's return to Mencius. Next comes a line especially good before sleep: born in hardship, die in ease. Hardship here does not mean go look for suffering. It means don't sleep your heart dead inside comfort. Shan rose from the plowed fields. Fu Yu was lifted from wall building. Jiao Ge from fish and salt. Guan Zhong from a prisoner. Sun Shuao from the sea. Bailey Shi from the market. None of them grew in a greenhouse. Mencius went on, when heaven is about to place a great charge on someone, it first troubles his heart, labors his bones, starves his body, empties his means, and frustrates what he does. So his heart is stirred. His endurance grows. Powers he lacked are forced into being. People often turn that into motivational poster language. Mencius added something more important: people constantly err, and then they can reform. Blocked in the heart, weighing in thought, and then they act. If you're young, hearing trouble his heart may irritate you. It sounds like preaching. Mencius did not mean go hunt pain. He meant, when everything runs too smooth, don't let the heart fall asleep. In smooth times, still willing to reflect, still willing to change, still willing to think a little for others, that is stirring the heart and growing endurance. If you're middle-aged, hearing starve his body may make you laugh. Today's hunger is mortgage and overtime, not Mencius's hunger. Fair enough. Then read empty his means as, sometimes when you hold few cards, the heart sees more clearly what cannot be sold, what must stay. Hardship wakes you. Ease dulls you. Mencius did not ask you to suffer forever. He asked you to stay clear-headed through life. Turn it around. He said, only then do you know born in hardship, die in ease. Hardship keeps a person alive. Ease can kill a person. Ease itself is not a crime. Only clinging to ease and refusing to grow that dulls a person. If tonight your days feel calm and you think there is nothing to ponder, try reading hardship as, keep a little wakefulness. Don't lose the scale inside comfort. Shun plowed deep in the mountains yet still thought of the world. Mencius said, if Shun became son of heaven and his influence reached the 4 seas, he still felt it was not enough, and kept seeking worthy people to share the work. That is not greed for power. The heart cannot put the people down. Hardship can also mean, as long as the heart still holds others, you are less likely to sleep dead inside ease. Your blanket is warm tonight. If you still remember tomorrow's appointment, a debt of feeling, a promise to keep, that is not anxiety. It is the opposite of a heart run wild. The heart is still here. Still among people. We cannot finish all 7 books of Mencius in one night, and we are not trying. Just keep a few pictures. Mother Mencius cutting the half-woven cloth. Mencius in the palace saying you have pity. A scholar telling feudal lords people are first. And this line, what separates human from beast is a tiny margin. Ordinary people throw it away. The noble person keeps it. What is kept? The 4 sprouts. compassion, shame, deference, right and wrong. In the quiet of night, if you can still feel a little ache in the heart, you are still human and a very Mencius kind of human. Mencius had another useful metaphor: 50 steps laughing at 100 steps. King Xuan said, "I treat my people more carefully than neighboring states, yet my population is still small." Why? Mencius said, "Your Majesty loves war. Let me use war as the example. On the battlefield, one soldier retreats 50 paces and laughs at another who retreated 100. Is that funny? Both ran. You kill a little less than neighbors who kill more, the people are still few. That is not the difference between 50 and 100 steps. To grow population, don't compete over who is less terrible. Fight less, squeeze less, give people land to plant and food to eat, and turn their hearts toward you." The metaphor still works. Don't rest easy because you are not the worst. Ask whether people can actually live. Mencius spoke of humaneness too, in one line with Confucius, but he stressed push more. Honor your own elders, and extend that honor to others' elders. Care for your own children, and extend that care to others' children. Push is Mencius's favorite word. Take the bit of pity, the bit of respect in the heart, and push it outward one ring. Where push moves, humane government draws nearer. Where push stalls, start inside your own house. In Mencius, humaneness has a warm name: cannot bear to harm people. Cannot bear to harm people, that is humaneness. With a stranger, can you leave out one cold sentence? With a server, can you offer a little more patience? Not performing kindness. Keeping the compassion sprout alive. Mencius said, "When I say everyone has a heart that cannot bear to harm others, I mean when people suddenly see a child about to fall into a well, all have a startled heart of compassion. Everyone has it, right there in the sudden sight. What did you suddenly see in daytime? If you saw nothing, picture the child at the well's edge. The heart will soften a little." He did not teach like a wooden board either. Once a student asked, when King Xuan swapped the bellocks for a sheep, was that stinginess? Mencius said, no harm in it. That was a humane method. Another student asked, the noble person keeps far from the kitchen, is that hypocrisy? Mencius said, the noble person seeing the living creature cannot bear to see the killing. Hearing the sound, he cannot bear to eat the flesh. So he stays away from the kitchen. Not performance. Taking cannot bear seriously. Whether you eat meat tonight, Mencius will not police you. He cares whether cannot bear counts for something in your heart. Wan Zhang once asked, everyone says Shun was greatly filial, but Shun's father, Guso, was wicked and tried to harm him. What did Shun do? Mencius said a great deal. The core is, Shun did not abandon his father, and did not abandon the people. He kept kin and settled the people. Filial piety is not blind obedience. Humaneness is not ignoring the wicked. It is holding what must be held and pushing what must change. Some stories are legend. Details may not all be true. Mencius used them to say, hearts are complicated. A father may be unwise. A king may be unwise. You still hold a scale in your hand. Another time King Xuan asked, do you believe Yin banished Tai Jia? Tai Jia was sent away to reflect. Mencius said, I believe it. There are documents of Tai Jia's repentance. The king asked, do you believe Tai Jia returned? Mencius said, I believe it. The king said, in you I see the righteousness between minister and ruler. I do not see the way of hegemony or kingship. Mencius answered, since human beings arose, no one has restored the order you achieved. If your direction is right, you need not hurry to crown yourself hegemon or king. He was giving the king a step down. He was also saying, the kingly way is not overnight magic. It is day after day of cannot bear and harm the people a little less. In his later years, Mencius returned home and kept teaching students like Wan Zhang and Gong Sunshou. Tradition says he died at 84. His students recorded years of questions and answers into 7 books, the Mencius we have today. After the Han Dynasty, it stood beside the Analects, the Great Learning, and the Doctrine of the Mean is one of the 4 books. Every candidate for the civil exams had to read it. While he lived, kings often would not listen. After death, his sentences entered the textbooks of countless young people. That too is like his own line, "All things are prepared within me. Turn inward with sincerity, and no joy is greater. The patterns of the world are complete in my heart. Turn inward honestly, and nothing brings more joy than that." The whole book's tone can close in one line: look up without guilt toward heaven. Look down without shame toward people. Mencius is not asking you to be a saint. He is asking that when you lie down at night, there is no lump grinding in the heart. If there is, wonder whether you can shift it a little. If there is not, sleep. Confucius said, "The noble person is calm and at ease." Mencius answered with something very practical: when your conduct does not get its result, turn and seek the cause in yourself. Not blame yourself for everything. Ask, is the inner scale crooked? Are the 4 sprouts still there? Put those 2 lines together and you have a small bedtime ritual. Calm means don't chew the day all night. Turn inward means don't throw every fault outward. The scale is in your heart. Heaven is above. People are beside you. If tonight felt messy, use those 2 lines to gather yourself. You need not solve it all. Half a thought is enough to sleep on. To close tonight, I want one passage on deference to help you settle. Mencius said, "What people can do without learning is their innate ability. What they can know without thinking is their innate knowing." Infants all know to love their parents. Grown children all know to respect their elder brothers. Loving parents is the root of humaneness. Respecting brothers is the root of righteousness. Filial piety and brotherly respect are how the kingly way is reached. You need not call your parents tonight. Just place them a little lighter and a little nearer in the heart. You are already on the path. I have said a great deal tonight, and you do not need to remember any of it. Truly, not one line. Mencius was not made for memorization. He is like an elder who speaks straight and has a soft heart. Pass by, hear 2 sentences, and that is enough. Fall asleep carrying only a little feeling, perhaps wealth cannot corrupt, perhaps the sprout of compassion, perhaps the scholar in the palace saying you have the foundation. Before good night, one small question for you: among all these lines tonight, which one do you most want to place beside your pillow? Is it choosing righteousness over life? Is it born in hardship? Is it people are first? No need to answer now. After you wake, tell me in the comments. I read every one. If you like nights like this, subscribe to the channel and tap the little bell. On the next sleepless evening, I will be able to find you again. Next time we read The Master of the Ghost Valley. Mencius taught us to keep goodness in the heart and steel in the spine. Another Warring States recluse will teach us how to read hearts in chaos and speak into the place where another person actually listens. There is one line from Mencius I want to leave with you as tonight's ending. Nothing fits this moment better. Mencius said, "Exhaust the heart with sincerity, and you will know your nature. Know your nature, and you will know heaven." You have been busy all day. Now is the hour to call the heart back and give it to the bed. Do not seek outward anymore. The scale is in you. Let it grow still. You sleep yours. Let the lamp stay dim. Nothing needs to be fought for. Nothing needs to be performed. Tomorrow you will live among people again. Tonight be only the lightest part of being human, a person lying down. If Mencius were watching, he might say that is already enough. Set today down. Leave tomorrow for tomorrow. Sleep now. Good dreams to you tonight. We will meet in the pages tomorrow morning. This is Bedside Book Voice. Good night, see you in the pages.